Hi, in this video, I'm going to give a whirlwind tour of how to use ClioVis. So if you have any questions about how some of the specifics work or the different contexts you can use the software in, I suggest you head over to our YouTube channel, ClioVis, and click on the playlist Resources for Instructors and Students. This has a ton of different videos on how to use ClioVis and will really help you out. Great. So to start, you're going to want to navigate to the ClioVis tab within Canvas, and this will take you to your ClioVis project dashboard, which basically just gives you access and shows you all the ClioVis folders you've created and all the different timelines that you can access. So if you want to create a folder, for example, and like I've seen instructors use this to organize different projects that students will use, different themes. There are different ways you can use folders. But yeah, you just insert a name there, click create. And then if you want to create a timeline, so if we're doing example timeline, industrial revolution, that's sort of what I'll use as some examples for today. And then I'll put it in this folder there. Great. So now I have my timeline here, and you just click on it to access it. But first, I'll just go over what some of these buttons mean. So comments, I'll show you guys if you leave a comment within the timeline, it'll appear here. Timeline description, a lot of instructors have students put their theses of their timeline there, or it can just be a straight up timeline description as well. You can also make a copy of your timeline, change its folder, and you can also edit users' access to your timeline. So if you're really interested in this feature, I made a whole nother video on how to collaborate with ClioVis, and that really explains this. But let's say this is a group project, and I want to add Marcus to my group. I just simply look up his name, add him there, and I can change his roles. All right. So once I enter the timeline, this is what it looks like, and you want to put some stuff on there, right? So you're going to go to create and create an event, and this creates an event. And let's see, we'll do the steam engine as the first one. What steam engine? And then if this is an important event to your timeline, you can click this button. It adds a circle, star around it. Description, describe it. Description, and then you can change the date format. So if I just want to do the year, do 1769, and you can also add a duration if you'd like. So let's say the event you're working on lasts over a larger period of time, you can enter a second date, and then it sort of extends your event out with a line there. But in this case, I'm not going to do a duration. And yeah, so next is adding an image. So there's sort of two ways you can add an image. You can copy and paste the URL. So if I want to add a photo of the steam engine, I can right click, copy image address, paste it there. Now I have an image there, but not all images work where you can copy the image address like that. You may need to download it. And in that case, you simply download the image like you would normally do. Click image uploads here. Upload file, give it a name, file description. You can drag it here or find it in your downloads, click upload, close out of that, and then you just refresh, and then you can find it here and add a link. So if I was doing the Cassion, it would appear there. But here, I'm going to repaste the steam engine just so we have that. Now I can add an image description, and we'll just say from Wikipedia, I believe. Then there are these other multimedia things you can insert as well. So if you want to add a video URL, it'll show up top right there. Same with an audio clip. You can paste a link to an audio clip. It must end in .mp3 and some other formats. If you do that, you can't just put a Spotify link in. But otherwise, you can download audio and you can upload it and then add it in there. So for example, in the past, I've included clips of podcasts, for example, on an event. And then finally, you have your references page, which is self-explanatory. You just put your references in there, works cited, all that jazz. So, and then there's this last one called categories, and we'll get to that in a second. So once you're done, now you've pretty much filled out the form and you have your first event on the timeline. Great. So now you want to create an era, right? So we'll call this the Industrial Revolution, and we'll say this lasts somewhat between 1760 and 1840. There you go. So now I've blocked off a whole chunk of time on my timeline, which is an era, and I've given it a label of the Industrial Revolution, or you can label it whatever you'd like. And then you can change the color down here. All right, so we'll do that color, close out of it. And then, of course, you can add a description. Great. So now I have an event and an era. Let's add another event, and we can show how we can interact we can make two events interact using ClioVis's features. So if I create another event, and we'll do the spinning Jenny invented, and I believe that is 1764. Write that down. Great. So we have the spinning Jenny as well. And again, you could add an image, anything you'd like. Finish editing. Great. So now I have these two events on there. And if I want to connect them, I just click and hold on one event, drag, and it drags an arrow out, and I can connect two events. So this is ClioVis's connection feature, and it's sort of one of the best features of ClioVis, in my opinion, because it allows you to sort of analyze the connection, whether it's causal or not, between two events in history, and create a web of information or a concept map of sorts, in a very visually engaging format. So you can change the direction of that arrow to backwards, bidirectional, none. So if I just click none there, now I have a line connecting the two, and I could talk about how these revolutionize textile manufacturing. Great. You can include references, finish editing, close. So now if I click right there, it'll show the connection between these two inventions. Great. So now sort of like the third main feature, if we've covered events and events connections, eras, now we're on to categories. So up here, you can create a new category. So let's do technological developments. We'll say industrial developments. I don't know. Give it whatever category you'd like. You can change the color, make this green. Awesome. Now, if I click on the event, I can scroll down and add these to the category I just created. And as you can see, it changes the color around the event. And in the case of the spinning Jenny one, since I have no image, it just makes the whole circle that color. Great, so now you have categories there. And those are sort of the main core features of ClioVis. Let's see what that looks like over here. So this is a timeline that I made as a group project a while ago, sophomore year, with some people at UT. And as you can see, we have different categories up here on sort of the Pullman housing situation in Chicago. And so you can see we categorize some things within the labor movement, within other social movements, some things as relating to company towns, and some things as relating to like the capitalist market structure at the time. And you can see we have different eras and a bunch of different events. So this is sort of what a built out timeline could look like using the features that we just talked about. Okay, some last things to talk about before I wrap this thing up. We talked about comments. This is where you can leave a comment that appears on sort of the project dashboard side of things. If you're having students write a description or their thesis of the timeline, you can add that here and edit description. Click here, you can change the title of your timeline. These controls can be helpful if you're having trouble using your trackpad to navigate the timeline. Down here, and again, check out my collaboration video if you have more questions about this, but you can chat with the people in your timeline in real time by typing messages here. And then down here, you can search your timeline for keywords. This is another way to view your timeline. If you click simplified view form, it presents it in sort of a more traditional scrolling format than the visual timeline one that is sort of the base of ClioVis right here, where you can see the connections. You can also make your timeline full screen. And yeah, that was a very quick overview of all the features of ClioVis. Some last things up here is you can export your timeline into a document or a CSV, and you can share your timeline and create a snapshot here. You can name it. Yeah, so let's call it snapshot. And then it gives me a link to my snapshot. If I make any changes after I create this link, they will not show up on that link. I'll have to make another snapshot. Awesome. And then tools. There are a bunch of different things on here, but really the main features under tools are the event list, which allow you to reorganize things for a presentation, and the start presentation button. And if you have questions and want to learn more about creating a presentation with ClioVis, check out my other video on doing so. Well, great. So those are some of the main features of ClioVis. If you have any questions, check out our YouTube channel or cliovis.com.